Good morning, fifth grade. Today is Wednesday, August 26th. It's hump day. We're halfway through the week. We're just heading over and heading into Friday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, this is our science lesson. Let's start with what our activities are. All right, so today for Wednesday, we're going to start with our visual literacy mat. So we're going to do our conclusion for August 26th. Remember, this is going to be in your Monday visual literacy mat. It's the only place it's going to be at. So you have to go back to Monday's assignment and keep working on it. On today's, you should have done a little bit each day, and then it's due on Friday, right? So for today, we are going to conclude. Explain what you know about what is shown in the visual from what we are learning in science. All right, so we were learning a little bit about, today we're going to be learning a little bit about how these formations are, how these formations are created. So you might want to wait till after our lesson today to go back and do that one, or you may remember from last year. All right. So 2 to 3 sentences on our visual literacy mat. All right, and then assignment number 2 is our flip grid. And what you're going to do here again is you're going to go to the flip grid and record your response to one question, and then you are going to answer. You're going to listen to other people's responses and respond to at least 2. All right, and that's on the flip grid. Every day we're going to do that. And then we have today's lesson. Today we're starting a new chapter, a new unit, and it's going to be, and the first thing we're going to learn is landforms. And after the lesson, there is a matching game in Nearpod. So after you're done with the lesson, I would like for you to go to the Nearpod and just do that matching game, just to try see what you picked up from our lesson. All right. And then after the lesson, there's going to be an exit ticket. Now, I don't want anyone to stress out about this exit ticket. I just want to know this is actually a 4th grade exit ticket from last year's lesson, but I really want to see. I know that last year was a little different, and so I just want to know what everybody remembers from what you learned in 4th grade. So don't worry about what you know or don't know, and don't worry about the grade. This is just to drive our instruction. All right. Thank you. So before we get to the exit ticket, let's look at our lesson for today. Okay. So today we're going to talk about weathering, erosion, and deposition. The wearing down and building up of Earth. So if you remember from last year and from before, weathering is any process that breaks down rocks and creates sediment. And there are 2 forms of weathering, chemical and mechanical. Chemical weathering is decomposition of rock caused by chemical reactions, resulting in a formation of new compounds. For example, a chemical weathering is water weathers rock by dissolving it. Oxygen can weather rocks as well. So sometimes oxygen and water can cause a rock to rust. So parts of the iron in the rock is going to turn into rust. And so that would be chemical weathering. Carbon dioxide can cause weathering. Living organisms can cause weathering. That would be chemical. There's acid rain, can cause weathering of rocks, can cause rocks to break down. Okay, next is mechanical weathering. This is physical weathering. So like when friction will cause rocks to break down. So like if you see little cracks in rocks, sometimes water gets in there and then it freezes, and when water freezes, it expands, and that can cause weathering of the rock. Plants can grow into the rock and slowly cause abrasion and cause it to break apart into smaller pieces. Abrasion. So that's like rubbing. So wind can carry small particles of sand or dirt, and that rubs against rocks and causes them to break down. So the wind can cause erosion as well with abrasion. It's called wind erosion, where it actually does two things at once. It's going to break down the rock into smaller pieces and carry it away, which we'll get into next. Animals can cause the weathering of rock. Again, weathering, it's going to break it apart, and temperature changes. And weathering is not always done evenly because different types of rocks weather in different ways. So some rock types weather faster than others. So water could be coming through and wearing away part of the rock and the rest of it stays. And so that makes a really cool formation. And the climate also makes a difference. A rock is going to weather faster in a warm, humid climate than in a dry or cold climate. The next step is that those sediment is going to be taken away. So it's breaking down and then taken away with erosion. So the erosion is when the particles are taken away to somewhere else. Water, wind, ice, or gravity can cause erosion. So first the weathering has to be broken down and then it has to be carried away. So for example, the Grand Canyon in Arizona, this is a canyon. This canyon and all canyons are formed by river erosion. The river is going to carry away weathered rock. The river. This is gravity erosion. Gravity carries away a sediment that's been weathered. Wind erosion, we talked about this. The wind causes the rock to break down, and then it also carries it away. And you know how we talked about rocks don't weather evenly, right? That's how these cool formations happen. Because only part of the rock broke down and the rest stayed. Water erosion can cause these cliffs. Homes can fall after their land has just been slowly eroded away by water. Some types of rock break down easier than others, which makes an uneven appearance. It makes it look pretty cool. Very beautiful. So again, wind erosion, the wind can move rock particles away. This can lead to dust storms. So we have fine particles carried through the air, medium-sized particles skip or bounce, and large particles slide or roll. Wind sometimes weathers the rock first, then wind erosion carries the sediment away, which creates dust storms, hoodoos, and arches. Ice erosion. As a glacier flows through over the land, it picks up rocks in a process called plucking. Ice erosion causes U-shaped valleys, glacial lakes, moraines, drumlins, and kettle lakes. Those are all caused by ice. But that U-shaped valley is very common with the ice erosion. We'll study that more later. Erosion by gravity. Gravity causes sediment to move downhill. It creates a landslide, mud flows, and creeps. All these different types of landforms. All right, so that's erosion. We broke down the rock with weathering. It was carried away with erosion, and now it's been dropped. Deposition is when the agent, wind or water of erosion, lays down the sediment. Okay, so it's changing the shape because it's taking rock from over here and it's moving it over there. It adds sediment to an area as it settles out and forms new landforms. This picture, salt has been deposited in the Great Salt Lake, Utah. You can see the salt deposits as they appear as white areas on the edge of the water. Weathering and erosion work together continuously to wear down and carry away the rocks at the Earth's surface. Deposition is the process in which sediment laid down in new locations, caused by water, wind, ice, and gravity. Think about it. What needs to happen before deposition can occur? Why did we study deposition last in our weather, erosion, and deposition mini unit here today? What step is it? All right, let's look at today's. So then you're going to do today's that activity, the matching activity, and then the last thing you're going to do. The last thing you're going to do today is our changes to land exit ticket. Number 1, where is one most likely to find rocks that have become smooth and rounded? At the bottom of the ocean, deep within earth, on the top of a hill, or in a fast-moving river? Which one? Caves are large empty spaces below the surface of the earth. Which of the following processes form caves over millions of years? Rivers carry mud and silt and then deposit them. Water flowing underground carries away minerals. Volcanic eruptions leave behind hollow areas. Ocean currents move sediments along the beach. A farmer notices that soil in the farm has been decreasing over the past few months. What environmental factor is most likely related to the loss of soil? Recent heavy rains, steady increase in temperatures, abundant crop yields, decrease in temperature. Rock formation. Let's look at this rock right here. This rock formed over many millions of years. What force most likely created it? A glacier moving rocks ahead of it? A river bringing rocks down a mountain? Wind-blown sand carving large rocks? Or a volcano blasting rocks great distances? And the last question. Dunes are very large piles of sand that shift slowly around in deserts and on beaches. What causes dunes to move from place to place? Rushing rivers, blowing winds, freezing water, and weathering rock. Now, if you're not sure, don't panic. Just do your very best. This is just to see where everybody's at from last year's, because just to see what everybody remembers from last year. All right? And that's the end of your science day. Have a great day, everyone.